Hi, I'm Demi Stevens, founder and CEO of You're the Book Press and editor-in-chief of Self Pub Magazine. I'm psyched to be here in the studio today for a little bit of a person behind the author talk with author Terrie McClay. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what do you do in your non-writing time?
I have lots of animals. We have a buffalo.
A buffalo? I thought you meant like dogs and cats.
No, we have a small farm, horses, miniature goats, miniature cows, some pheasants, some peacocks.
A small farm?
Yes.
Now, where do they... larger than I think what I'm picturing in my head.
It's not real large. We have about 14 acres.
Yeah, okay.
They're all pets, and quite a few of them have been rescues over the years.
Oh, okay. So how do you manage to rescue a pheasant or a wild goat?
People come and say, I need a home for this, or I get phone calls all the time. In fact, I've had people call me. We rescued a baby deer and a baby possum and baby fox.
Wow. And so they'll live on your property?
Well, usually I end up, I actually belong to, I'm a volunteer for Tri-State.
Okay.
It's in Newark.
What is that?
Newark, Delaware. It's a bird rescue.
Oh.
And I volunteer there now. I like to do that. So the idea is for the animals to go back into the wild. And with Tri-State, I just transported 2 birds yesterday up to Tri-State that I got from the DNR.
What kinds of birds were they?
Anywhere from the ones I transported yesterday was a injured osprey and an injured turkey buzzard.
Oh, these are not small birds.
No. And we take them up to Tri-State. They have a wonderful program up there for rescue. They have vets on staff, and the idea is to get them well and re-release them. So I volunteer for there. And I like traveling, photography.
How does travel work with all the animals back on the farm?
My friend Kelly, she's wonderful.
Oh.
She takes care of our animals when we're away, and my friend Betty takes care of our dog. So it works out real good.
So all of your travels, are they taking you to the West, or do you go to a variety of places?
We've mostly gone to Montana, Wyoming. We love Canada, the Rockies in Canada. Bella Cool is one of my favorite places to go. It's pretty far out there up in Canada, British Columbia. It's beautiful. But my husband and I are going on our first cruise together in September. We celebrated our 40th anniversary this year.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite a milestone.
Yeah, we can never go away though during our anniversary because I'm doing foaling season. So we're going in September.
And you have like horse midwife training, don't you?
Yes, that's what I do.
No.
It's mostly foal watching. That's when I do all my writing because I have hours and hours of just staring out the window, watching the mares, waiting for their water to break.
So is this all times of day and night?
Night.
Night.
I do the night shift usually anywhere from 9 o'clock until 6 or 7 in the morning.
Do you find that writing at night in general is easier or harder than the daytime?
Much easier.
For you?
Yes.
For me too.
It's quiet, it's relaxing. I have a very hard time writing during the day. There's too many distractions. If it's a nice day, I want to be outside at the farm, and it's very hard, to write during the day. So nighttime is my quiet time, and I enjoy that.
Do you write when you're not foaling? So the other parts of the year?
Yes.
So how does your husband deal with you getting up in the middle of the night to write or staying up late?
Actually, what ends up happening when I'm not doing foaling season is I'll go up and do the farm in the morning, and when we get into the hot part of the day, like noon, I'll spend a couple hours in the afternoon in the house in the AC and doing my writing then. But sometimes if I'm really into a heavy project, it's very hard to write. I go down to the farm where I work, and I'll spend a couple hours down there because it's quiet. So I don't know, it's a very good place for me to write. I can focus easier. So sometimes I do that.
You mentioned that you traveled to Montana and some of your books are set out west. Was your first trip there research-based or for leisure?
It was research.
Research, okay. tell us, what were you looking for in that research trip?
I wanted to check out the area. The first book takes place during the Battle of Bighorn and the Battle of Rosebud. I wanted to check out the area, get a feel for the location, and do some research on the Lakota. I had a very interesting experience when I went to the Black Hills that I wasn't expecting. We were driving along and I was videotaping, and I just suddenly started to cry. I burst into tears and I couldn't stop crying. And I had all these feelings, these emotions of like mixed emotions of like coming home, emotions of regret, anger, it was just overpowering. And it was the same type of thing, and I had these same emotions when I was writing the story.
Any sense of what that might be related to?
No, but when I went on at the time I didn't understand it, and when I went on my vision quest years later, I understood my connection to the Lakota.
So that Native American theme you were able to tap into.
Mm-hmm.
What was a vision quest like? I've heard tell. I have a political scientist friend who's done one. What was your version?
It was, it's very hard to even describe. Part of it's very personal. It was 4 days of being alone in the woods. I built a shelter, my own shelter. And it was a lot of time spent in prayer, meditation, and
what does a shelter get built out of?
I tied twigs together and built a frame, and then I covered the frame.
Wow.
It was quite a task.
Sounds like it.
And it was very frustrating in the beginning because it was something I hadn't done before, but it too was a step that I needed to take.
What was the weather like?
It was fairly hot.
Hot.
It was hot for 2 days. We had rain part of the time.
Did your shelter hold up in the rain?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, it did. But it was very, very inspirational. And I came away with an understanding of where the books came from and where the dreams came from when I wrote the stories, and just able to connect more with myself.
So that comes back into your writing. Where do you think, is there a fourth book coming on the way?
Actually, I do plan on publishing a fourth book this fall, but it is totally different. When my father passed away 2 years ago, he was a stamp collector, and my mother had boxes.
Philatelist, right?
He had boxes and boxes of just letters.
With the postmarks canceled?
With the postmarks canceled. There were no letters, they were just basically envelopes, but I did come across one box with letters. And I said to my mom, these still have the letters in them. And I opened them up and I started reading them. They were from 1928. And after I read several of them, I realized they were love letters. And they were between Gus and Ethel. And they were very young. And a lot of times they would sign off their letters with XXXX. I love you forever. And it was just really sweet reading them. And they were both from Washington, and
Washington State or D.C.?
Washington, D.C.
D.C., okay.
And
in the 20s, what part of the 20s?
1928.
1928. Oh, so coming on Depression era.
Mm-hmm. There was over 100 of them. And
where do you suppose your dad got those?
We were trying to figure that out. It was very hard trying to figure out where they came from. But it turned out... Well, I started doing research because I went on Ancestry.com, and I was hoping that I could find their children because I wanted to find out if they had any children, if they stayed married. And because of the letters and that I had addresses and I had dates, I had family members she would talk about her sisters. And so I had family members. I was actually able to find them on Ancestry.com. And from there, I was actually able to trace, and I found the daughter. And I met with her, and it was wonderful. I gave her some of the letters, and when I finished with the rest of them, I'm going to give her all of the letters back to the family.
That must be incredible to find this treasure trove of love letters of your parents. Wow.
So yeah, she was so excited to see them, and she didn't even know they existed. Well, it turned out I told her I had no idea where the letters came from, and as I'm looking through the letters, there was a letter addressed to her, and the address was Woodbine Avenue in Philadelphia. And I'm thinking, that's strange. My brother Walt lived on Woodbine Avenue.
On the same street?
Years ago, yes.
No.
So I asked her what the address was, and it turns out that my brother lived in the house that she grew up in. So come to find out, the letters were in a box stuffed away in one of the cubby holes of the house. And my brother and my sister-in-law, I guess, took the letters out, and my brother must have given them to my dad because he collected stamps and forgot about them all these years. And this had to be, my father must have had them about 15 years, 10 or 15 years. So I read them, and I felt that they should be published. And when I talked to Pat, their daughter, she agreed, and so we're going to go ahead and publish them this fall.
So our fourth book is going to be the love letter romance of Gus and Ethel, was it?
Yes.
Oh.
It'll be called my Irish Sweetheart, Letters from the 1920s.
Oh, I'm in love already. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's nice to get to know you a little better.
Thank you.